it can be really difficult at first when you find out that you're celiac, especially if you've been eating a gluten diet your whole life. Because you do go into the store, you look around, and you kind of say, wow, I really can't eat anything. And all my favorite foods had gluten in them. It can be very difficult when friends are like, hey, come out to eat with us. We're going to go to Panera Bread. And you're like, that's a war zone for me. Like, it can be really hard and really depressing maybe at first, because you feel like your whole world options of good food are just kind of like, shrunk. But honestly, it's not that bad. Honestly, there is a big adjustment period where you go through and you have to relearn. Sometimes you have to relearn, this is now what bread tastes like. And you have to decide whether, okay, am I going to eat the bread or just like discard it and have my lovely dreams of what I used to eat. But there are other things like macaroni and cheese that taste exactly the same as the good mac and cheese that you used to make, especially when you start to make things on your own. Some things won't taste the same, like pancakes. Probably not going to taste the same, but once again, going back to Pamela's all-purpose flour, they have a pancake mix, and it tastes really good. And just because you now can't eat gluten doesn't mean that your social life, and all aspects of your life are now just coming crashing down. Obviously, if you're someone who likes to drink protein shakes, like I drink protein shakes, and I had to find a new protein shake to drink because the ones that I had and the ones that I found had gluten in them. There is a ton of hope and a ton of help out there. And some of the best, resources out there are mom blogs, where they go and they talk about, this is what I do for gluten-free options. This is how I handle it. This is how I take care of it. Other things are, if you know that you're going to go out to eat with a group of friends, or they're going to go get a treat, pack yourself a treat, something that you know you're going to enjoy, so that when they're all having their cinnamon rolls, or their bagels, or their donuts, or their whatever people who eat gluten eat nowadays for treats, then you can have your own treat. And you're still there, you're still part of the group, you're still having food, you're still having fun. You will try some gluten-free food that is not meant to be eaten, and it's nasty. And some people really like it. Like some people, for instance, really like mashed up cauliflower to be their crust for pizza as a gluten-free option. I personally do not. It's good for some people. I don't really like it. But if you eat that and you find out you like it, like, good for you. Once again, it's easier than you think. Do you have to be constantly vigilant? Yes. Do you have to check the labels and everything? Yes. Do you have to be new trust issues with friends who bring over food? Unfortunately, yes. But jokingly, I do tell people I eat anything that a rabbit can eat. But ideally, I eat anything that really you guys eat. I just have to prepare and cook it differently. And one of the cool things that you can do after you've gotten used to cooking gluten-free for a while is you invite people over to your house who don't know that you're celiac. And you have them eat the food. And they eat it and they go, oh my goodness, this is so good. And you're like, oh yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Just took 6 years for me to learn how to cook like this. And you don't say that, obviously, it's just in your mind. But then they leave, and it's always a score if they don't know it's gluten-free. Because then they ask you, what's the recipe for that? And you're like, oh, well, you use this gluten-free flour, and they're like, oh my goodness, that was gluten-free? And you're like, yes. My life is not sad, not pitiful. I enjoy bounteous blessings of food, and it's good. So when you're first diagnosed, hang in there. It is really rough. You do feel like a lot of things have been cut out. But you can find a replacement that is just as good for your gluten-free cookies. Or you can find a replacement just as good for your German pancakes. Really, the only thing that unfortunately you can't find as good replacement for is purebred. But like, that's okay. There's lots of other options.